Hello everyone and welcome back to JDTV. I'm your host for today, Josh, and we are back with another player-by-player comparison video. Now I did one already on Canada versus Belgium, I did one on Canada versus Croatia, now it's time for one on Canada versus Morocco. Spoiler alert, Canada lost the other two, but if you want to check out those videos, you still can to see what the final tally was. This one will be intriguing. I've talked to a few Moroccans that said their mindset is that they have to beat Canada if they're going to make it to the round of 16. Canadians are the same way. If we want to imagine us making to the round of 16, we have to take care of business against Morocco. So this one should be a lot of fun to put together. I lined up both starting 11s in a 4-3-3 system. Now, I know that both sides don't usually play that system, but again, this is just to have some fun, trying to see where the talent's at, whether it's at the back, whether it's at the midfield, the strikers, wherever it may be. That's how I'm going to do. I'm going to go through each position and line them all up and give a point to who I think has the better player in that position. So with all that being said, hopefully you guys are excited, and if you are, as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and let's get into the episode now. We are going to kick things off with the keeper position. Now this one's pretty fun because, I mean, you guys know who it's going to be for Canada. It's Milan Borjan, and it's against Bono from Sevilla. Now the fun thing about Bono is that he's got Canadian citizenship, which, you know, always an interesting fact there. But this one is close because, I mean, when you look at the level they're playing at, Sevilla playing in the Champions League, being a top La Liga side. He had a great season last campaign. However, they've been dreadful this year. Bono's been dropped a few times. I don't think he's going to be going into this World Cup with a ton of confidence. New manager comes in as well, so it is kind of tough. I've never been overly high on Bono, and again, this is a little bit biased. And for all the Moroccans watching out there, remember, if it's close for me, being a little biased, I am probably going to give it to the Canadians. So with that being said, I am going to give it to Milan Borjan. You know exactly what you're going to get from Milan Borjan at Red Star for Canada, whatever it may be. Milan Borjan is a fantastic keeper. Bono's solid as well, but just the question marks around him this campaign leading into the World Cup is the reason I'm going to give this point to Borjan. Moving along now to the right back position. For Canada, it's Alistair Johnston, and for Morocco, it's Hakimi. This one's not very close. I mean, Alistair Johnston, like I keep praising him. He's a very important player for Canada. Can play as a wing back, a right back, and outside right center back. He mainly features kind of at that outside right center back, right back position, but he's going up against Hakimi, a player that I rate very, very highly, one of the best fullbacks in the world in my opinion, up there along the lines with Alphonso Davies. Just so attack-minded, so fun to watch, and this point has to go to Hakimi. The next position we are looking at is the right center back position. For Canada, it's Steven Vitória, and for Morocco, it's Achrif Dari. Now this one's an interesting one because they're two very different kinds of players. One's at the latter stages of his career. Steven Vitória, very important player for Canada. Haven't given him a lot of love because he's been going up against some pretty tricky opposition in our player-by-player comparison videos, but he is playing very well right now in the Portuguese league. He's playing for a team that just got promoted. He's been a nice leadership figure to come in there and lead them to a bit of a mid-table start right now. As for Dari playing for Brest in Ligue 1, I'd say it's a little more competitive a league, but I think it's pretty close. Again, because it's close and I'm a little biased, I'm going to give this one to Vitória, again, just kind of for the leadership qualities. He's a set-piece specialist as well, very difficult player to try to mark. He's got his issues, again, when playing, especially in a back four, a little bit lack of speed, but when it's this close and I'm Canadian, I'm going to give this one to Vitória. The next position we are looking at is the left center back position. This sees Kamal Miller from Canada take on Romain Saïss from Morocco. This one's kind of close as well. I think both of the two center back positions could go either way. Saïss has got a ton of experience. He hasn't been in very good form. However, he moved over from Wolverhampton to Besiktas, has not been playing overly well, hasn't been playing overly well for Morocco either. Miller had a great season with CF Montreal. Again, you can debate what league would be better. I'm assuming Turkey's probably a little bit higher than Major League Soccer. It's very close, and because it's so close and the other one was so close, I think it's only fair to split them because I can make an argument for both. That way, you know, if we split them, at least I'm trying to show that I'm not overly biased. But I do think the two center back positions of these four players we talked about are on a very similar type of level. So for this one, I'm going to give it to Saïss, again, for the similar reason I gave it to Vitória. Bit of the leadership role, even though he's not in the greatest of form. You guys understand. The next position we are looking at is a left back position. And for Canada, it is Samuel Adekugbe, and for Morocco, it's Mazraoui. Now, Mazraoui is obviously a right back, but he's been playing pretty recently as a left back for Morocco. They have Hakimi there. You're going to want to get both of these players on. I mean, one plays for PSG, one plays for Bayern. Very talented players. They're better on the pitch together, so They moved Mazraoui over to the left back position, and because of that, I mean, again, Atakubi has not had the best start to his season in Turkey with Hatayspor. Mazraoui hasn't had a ton of minutes, but again, he's playing for Bayern. He's getting those type of reps. He's playing at the highest of levels. He is getting minutes. So for this one, it's going to have to go to Mazraoui. Moving on to the midfielders now, we have a more CDM type midfielder, box to box, and more attack minded one. So starting it off with the CDMs, for Canada, it's Eustáquio, and for Morocco, it's Amrabat. Now this one is kind of difficult because they are both quality players, but for me, it's Eustáquio. He's playing, in my opinion, at a higher level with Porto, who again, qualified now to the round of 16 in the Champions League at time of recording, which is great. I don't know if they topped the group or not, but they're qualifying for the round of 16. He's become such a vital piece of that team. He's been patient, had to wait for his opportunities, and he's, besides Davies, the most important player, in my opinion, for Canada. Amrabat, very talented player, plays in Serie A, a very good league, in my opinion, a better league than the Portuguese league, but he's just not playing at that type of level that Eustáquio is at. He's a very good, important player as well for Morocco. This is two good quality players, but I have to give this one to Eustáquio. Moving on now to the more box-to-box midfielder. For Canada, it's a little difficult right now. I mean, there's Atiba Hutchinson. He's 39 years old, hasn't played a single minute yet this season. There's Marc-Anthony Kaye. I mean, Piet's more a defense-minded one. You could obviously push him up a little bit. I don't know if I would do that in this type of scenario. So kind of looking at the box, I'm just going to throw Atiba Hutchinson in there just for fun. I mean, it was easier to do with the Croatia one because it was a lot more straightforward. The Croatians had very good midfielders. And for Morocco, it's Unai. Now, this is a player who's playing for Angers. He's very young, raw, but is a good player. Now, Angers have been dreadful so far. At time of recording, they sit in 20th place, the basement of Ligue 1. So this one makes it difficult, but because I can't really figure out exactly who is going to go there, or even whether it's Ismail Kone, Unai, there's no denying it. He's playing competitive minutes. He's playing in a top 5 league. He's young. He's talented. We know he's going to be there. Whoever it could potentially be for Canada is kind of up for debate. I'm going to just slide in Hutch, who hopefully will start a game at the World Cup. But again, not really performing so far this season because he has not played. He's 39, so I'm going to have to give this one to Unai. Moving along now to the attack-minded 8/number 10. For Canada, I have Jonathan Osorio, and for Morocco, I have Boufal. This one's close. Jonathan Osorio is such an important player for Canada, for TFC. He has got an expiring contract. There's a lot of interest from clubs in Europe as well. And Boufal, similar to Unai, is playing for Angers, bottom of the table in Ligue 1. I think these two positions are very close, similar to Unai against whether it's Hutch or Piet or whoever it might have been there. So I'm going to try to split this one a little bit like I did the center backs. Again, I think that there's a debate. I really do like Boufal, but he's not in the greatest of form. Angers just isn't in general, but he is a game changer. He's a very creative player. Really enjoyed watching his career so far, but I'm going to give this one to Jonathan Osorio because if he gets back and he's healthy, he's out with a head injury right now, he can be a bit of a game changer. Such a creative player for that Canadian midfield, and I think if he's going to potentially help unlock a defense, there's a good opportunity he could be a very useful player against Morocco. Now it's time to move along to the front three, starting with the right winger position. For Canada, I have Tajon Buchanan, and for Morocco, I have Hakim Ziyech. Now, Ziyech is going to be a tricky player because a lot of Canadians were hoping he wasn't going to be involved because he was out of favor with the other manager. New manager comes in, so does Ziyech. So this one's not really, I mean, it's kind of close because I rate Tajon Buchanan a lot, but Ziyech is such a talented player. We saw what he could do with Ajax. He hasn't had the greatest time at Chelsea, but there is still a wonderful player in there. He will be so important to what Morocco do. I think it's closer than some may seem because I think Buchanan is such an electric player to watch, but just kind of taking a look at the player Ziyech is, we're going to have to give this one to him. Now taking a look at the left winger position, it's Alphonso Davies. I have him in the attacking role for Canada. It's where you want to see him against Harriet for Morocco. This one unfortunately just is not that close. Alphonso Davies, world-class player. Obviously he plays a little more defense-minded role for Bayern, but he's got full freedom to do what he wants on the pitch, and you often see him up in that kind of left wing type position. He's a game changer. He's going to be the biggest threat for Canada going against Morocco. Harriet's a solid player playing for Marseille. He just isn't really on that same level. This point has to go to Davies. The final position is a striker position, and it's David for Canada against En-Nesyri for Morocco. This one, I mean, to me, isn't overly close. En-Nesyri is a very talented player, but he's just a bit of an inconsistent goal scorer. You've seen him have really strong seasons where he's gotten close to 20 goals, and you've seen him have pretty poor seasons. He's kind of out of favor right now. He's battling with Rafa Mir and Dahlberg, I guess, for the starting role for Sevilla. Can't really lock that down under Jorge Sampaoli. Jonathan David is killing it this year. He's been such a talented player in Liga. He's already close to double digits in goals at time of recording. He sits at 9. So Jonathan David for me is just kind of the easy one. He's the man on form. He's the man, if there's an opportunity for a goal, you want him there. You want him to try to take that. And Naziri's been a bit of hit or miss right now. So to round it out, David gets the last point. So let's tally up the results and see who wins. The results are in. Canada had 6, Morocco had 5, which means Canada won. Canada lost against Belgium and Croatia, but they picked up a W here. And I know what a lot of you guys will be thinking, Josh, you're mad, and that's fine. If you don't agree with what I kind of calculated here, let me know down below how you would score it. But like I said, a lot of these were very close. I had to even split some of the decisions because there are just a lot of quality players here. The defense, the better of that, went towards Morocco. The midfield and the attack kind of went towards Canada. But a lot of these players were very similar. Even the keeper, it was kind of about personal opinion. So if you don't agree with me, that's totally fine. Let me know down below how you guys would calculate it. But this will be the most intriguing match. If there's going to be an upset and if Canada or Morocco make it to the round of 16, that's an upset. It's going to be Canada beating Morocco or Morocco beating Canada to make that upset happen. So hopefully you guys did at least enjoy this and kind of take a look at what a potential starting 11 could look like and where some of the players' strengths and weaknesses could be. If you guys did enjoy this, as always, be sure to drop a like, drop a sub, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, friends.